Shall I close the door also?
Which door?
Door.
No. Put on that light, this gallery light, whatever difference it will make.
Yeah.
Hi, Pooja. Can you see me here? Right. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good. Pooja, this is Pragya. I teach here I'm Calcutta and I'll be moderating. Okay. So see here, Vani. Hello.
Hi, Pragya. Hi.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Right.
good to see you too.
Yeah. And there's Sejal and Sweetie, so that's comfortable.
I apologize, there was a technical glitch from our end.
No problem, Sejal.
Hi, Sejal. Manjira here.
Hello, ma'am. I'll just confirm if all the panelists are here, and then we can start. Panelists are here, and then we can start. Yes. Pragyan, ma'am, are you here?
Give me half a minute. Half a minute, I'm back.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Please. Give me half a minute. Half a minute, I'm back.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Hi, Manjira. This is Pragya here.
Hi. Hi, Pragya.
Okay. And then I'll ask you nice questions. Don't worry. You're right. Okay.
Ma'am, we are just waiting for Vani ma'am to join back.
Sure. Okay. I'm just a little worried about electricity. That's all. Okay. There's a current fluctuation. So while you're waiting, let me just see if I can just admit me in through my mobile as well, so that, in case.
That might happen with me as well. I've
So
been
just
also having frequent power cuts.
Yeah. Okay. That is.
Where are you guys? On campus?
Half a minute, I'm back.
Yes, ma'am, we are on campus.
So power cuts in campus even after so many years.
I'm back.
Yes, ma'am, we are
Not on campus. I'm in Gurgaon, but there are power cuts. We have power backup, but it takes a minute or two for it to, for it to kick in.
Okay.
Guys, we're live on YouTube, I believe, with this conversation.
Okay, cool.
I think we can start now, ma'am.
Angel, good to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think I'm all right. Just 1 second. Okay, Sejal, I can start.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this interesting panel discussion organized by the I'm Calcutta E-Cell, and the organizers are all sitting quietly there, and they put me in front to moderate this panel. So the topic or the reason for the panel to happen is because of probably one of the most important discussions that are happening over time, and particularly in the contemporary times, and that is about women in leadership. And that is why we have an interesting set of panelists who are women and who've been leading in their own ways and admirably so in their particular segments and sectors. A very quick introduction. Me, the moderator, I am Pragya Rath. I teach communications in IIM Calcutta. And I have the honor to introduce four very brave women doing great work from whom we intend to learn a lot in this 1 hour panel session that we're going to have. A very quick introduction, right? The bio notes. We start with Manjira Khurana here, who's also been an alum to our institute. Hello, Manjira, and a warm welcome.
Hi.
Manjira,
Hi, Pragya.
Thank you. Just the typical reading of your list here. Manjira is a certified leadership development coach, a strategy mentor, and business professional, and co-founder of ThinkAxiom Leadership Advisory Services. Graduating from IIM Calcutta, she has had a very diverse experience across sectors and industries like airlines, engineering, digital media, public service, communication, public relations agencies, both in private and public sector. She's currently serving on the board of Abject, Birla Group, and Taj Air, Tata Sons Group of companies as an independent non-executive director, where she's a thought partner on growth strategy. This is a short one for a very, very diverse experience. And this is Manjira, all right? And before we start questions, Manjira, I'll just introduce the others and I'll get back to you, all right? Next, we have Vani Gupta. Hi, Vani. Just a quick hello to all. Thank you. Nice to see you. Vani Gupta is founder of CherryPeachPlum, a strategic business consulting venture. She has had a long, rewarding career of over 20 years, starting with advertising and then various roles in marketing and category management, and with various, you call them blue chip or big companies like PepsiCo, serving as marketing director, Unilever, Regional Innovation Office, Bangkok, and HUL India, for instance, and of course, Rectic Tenkaiser, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Tenkaiser also. Vani has also been listed by Business Today as the hottest young executive under 40 in 2015 in a nationwide survey. She is listed amongst the 100 most influential marketing leaders list by the World Marketing Congress for 2016. Wow, that's a lot, Bunny. So a lot to talk about, and we'll get back to you soon. Let me call on the virtual dais, Shveta Raina. Hi, Shveta. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, yeah, nice to see you there, Shweta. Shweta is the founder of Talerang with a vision to create a work-ready India. She's a graduate of Harvard Business School, where she graduated with honors and the Horace Goldsmith Fellowship for Social Enterprise. She has been recognized as one of India's incorporated rising women leaders by the Economic Times and a woman of courage by India Today. That's a term we really want for today's panel discussion any which way. She has been a speaker at TEDx, the Harvard India Conference, UN Young Changemakers, and the Women Economic Forum. So lots to discuss as well, Shweta. Thank you for making time. And finally, and not the least, of course, hello, Pooja. Hi. Good hello from you to all of us. There's Pooja. Yeah. Pooja Mishra is a veteran entrepreneur. Instead of saying serial entrepreneur, right? She founded Yellow Roots in 2020 to connect rural women with their urban sisters with an aim to empower one and delight other. That's an interesting terminology. Before that, she founded Ivy Dreams in 2019 and Gurukul Group of Institutions in 2012. She was felicitated by Rotary International with Youth Icon Award in 2017. Thank you so much, Pooja, for making time and joining. All right. So what we do is we have a 3-level question pattern, very simple. We'll start with your journey to where you are today, 5 minutes each. Then your advice to people who want to follow your track or in the space you are in. That's the second question. And the third question, the reason why we are having the panel discussion is why so few women at the top? Why is it difficult for women to reach where you all have reached? Of course, women are reaching, but statistics says it's not so many. So why not? And why is it important too? So what we do is, let's start with Manjira. Hi, Manjira. So back again to you. And the question would be, your journey of becoming an independent coach, strategist, founder, director, right? How is it been for you as a woman? Over to you, Manjira.
You know, Pragya, I keep saying there are two Indias. There is the India which we belong, privileged, completely removed from the rest of India, Bharat, if you would. We are so fortunate. I mean, I can say that though I started my career in the late 70s, I mean, I was never even once discriminated against as a woman. And however surprising you may find it, those days when I was graduating out of IIM Calcutta, a public sector job was considered very, very with it. It was very prestigious because the public sector offered a sort of large canvas. And just to explain how mindsets work those days, on the same day, I got an offer from Bank of America and I got an offer from Indian Airlines. And I took Indian Airlines. The money was half because the canvas was so large. And in all my years, from a management training to a director on the board of Indian Airlines, I mean, not once did I feel I'm disadvantaged or my journey made more difficult because I'm a woman. Now, a lot of people would say, yes, it is the way you position yourself. Yes, it is the way you react. I mean, if you're one of the boys, nobody looks at you as a woman. But be that as it may, I do have colleagues. I have colleagues in many companies who said that, yes, there was active discrimination. And strangely, there was more discrimination maybe in the more developed so-called the more developed countries like Europe and the United States, where I had fellow alums who complained. So I would say to other people, girls who are joining today, whatever company you join, start with the assumption that it is not going to make a difference whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. Then do your best to be gender neutral. That should work for you. And if you're talking of how I've reached where I've reached, it is because I wanted to do different things. After many years in the airline industry, having been a board director for very long years, I said, okay, I am not growing and I need to do something to completely reinvent. So I went and joined HelpAge as the country head. So from airline, a completely corporate, profit-driven assignment to working in the not-for-profit, where suddenly roles are reversed. Suddenly you're out there with a begging bowl to the corporate saying, hey, give me some money, support me, support my projects. So completely different mindsets, completely different buying habits, completely different spending habits, and a completely different clientele. So after my long stint at HelpAge, I said, okay, so what have I done all these years? And I realized what I have done is actually always mentored people. I have been their fellow traveler on their journeys. I have worked with women. I have worked with many men in helping them, or rather supporting them. I won't say helping them because that's too presumptuous. Supporting them in making them reach where they want to reach. That little helping hand, that little support that people wanted. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do in the third phase of my career. So I got certified as a executive coach, and that's it. So I work a lot with women. I work with students, and I work with young scientists in their go-to-market efforts. I mean, the corporate assignments is the bread and butter. The imaginary jam, which I love on my bread. So this is it. And all I tell my fellow women, entrepreneurs, executives, business women is try and reinvent yourself. It's never too late. Have fun. Have fun at every stage of your career, and there'll be something new which will come along. I never thought that my journey would be so absurd. I mean, right from an airline to a NGO to being a coach. So there are unexpected twists and turns, and it's always enjoyable. So that's how I reached where I was, Pragyan.
Thank you so much, Manjira. I'll get back. That's a very interesting take from moving from, actually into the corporate sphere and actually into mentoring. And there are some questions on mentoring, and we'll come back to that. Thank you, Manjira. Vani, simple question. What does it take to be in the 100 most influential leaders list as a woman? Over to you, Vani.
Again, I don't really know what I specifically did to get there. Yeah. I don't really know how I landed there, but I loved what Manjira just said about herself. What she said is do your best to be gender neutral. I think that is what works best, actually. And the reason why all of us are actually here, you included, is because we've all done our best to be gender neutral. I wouldn't say that gender inequality in many ways does not exist. It does exist. But as women who want to do well, all of us ambitious women, and I think we all have responsibility to sort of show the way even to other younger women, the best we can do is to assume that there is nothing holding us back. So if you just pretend like there is really nothing holding you back, then sort of water finds its course. And I always say that there will be stuff around that might not all be nice. You might find that many times very incompetent men get to the top. That's also because there are just way too many of them. But it's a fact. But you've got to do what you've got to do, So I think, like Manjira was also saying, what are we doing to sort of show the way to the others is just being ourselves. Just the fact that we're all here and we're all enjoying doing what we are doing. Like Manjira has taken a lot of bold bets in her career. I think just forging ahead in itself is the greatest service that we can do for ourselves and for other women. I don't know if I've gone off topic, but no. Was that the question?
No, absolutely. The whole point here is to do what we want to do and do it to the best that we can. And this continuous rhetoric of gender neutrality, that's an interesting rhetoric that is happening. And Vani, I'll get back again on that rhetoric.
Sure.
You get, right? Shweta, again, similar question. You've been recognized as a rising women leaders kind of list. You have something called Women of Courage, Change Maker. There are these terms being used for you. So basically, you are in a position of influence because of these kinds of categories into which you've been positioned. So very simple question, Shweta, or maybe not a very, very simple question. What exactly is the meaning of the woman of courage? What does it take to be a change maker? What does that really mean?
So if you don't mind, I'm going to firstly say that none of these, titles and lists actually mean anything at all, right? At least to me personally, I feel that there are too many of these lists out there, and, those who don't make it on those lists, they feel totally inadequate. And there are so many people doing amazing work out there, and they may not be given that title as women of courage, but they are probably way more courageous than I am. Right. So I firstly just want to start off by saying, let's not get too enamored by all of this. I think, I'm really inspired by the other panelists. And just to set some context, my mom went to IIM Calcutta and she actually met my father there. They were a batch of, I think, 81. I don't know if Manjira would know them, but they actually, when they went to IIM Calcutta, there were only 10 women and 100 men in the class. So I'm not sure currently how many are, what is the ratio. But, if you really want to have more women in the workforce and more women leaders, then you really need to start right from our education system. And personally, I mean, that's the space that I'm currently in. I work in employability. I feel that things are changing. Gen Z women are performing as well or better than men in the workforce. And I do see a shift towards companies asking for women over men. I do see that shift happening even in terms of their results and their self-reporting and their confidence. So in terms of where we were in my mom's time to where we are today to where we are going to be, in my daughter's time, several years down the line, I do see that shift happening. And I think there is a positive trajectory. So if each woman just believes in herself and keeps pushing forward, I think that's the most important thing. That courage comes from within. And don't wait for someone to give that courage to you. Don't wait for someone to hand that to you on a platter, because no one is going to do that. You have to fight your own battles and push forward. Get inspired by role models, but don't look externally for validation. So that's what my 2 cents would be on this topic. But like I said, I'm sure that, you guys, you all are already there. This generation is way ahead of, where Gen Y, which is my generation, the millennial generation, was.
Okay. Thank you, Shweta. Nice bringing in the generation factor, right? And we'll get back to that and discuss that again. Coming back to Pooja here. Pooja, you've been doing interesting work, right, in the social enterprise sector, rural, urban sisterhood. Would you want to talk something on that?
Yeah. So as Manjira said, now that we have 2 Indias, and somehow I found myself in the middle of it. So I personally have a rural background where my cousins and all still live in the village. But very early on, my parents took the decision that we'll stay in a city and we all girls will get educated properly and all. So what happened was, like, I was in US working there and then came back, joined IIM Calcutta. So what interesting thing was that I was doing my IMC with my 3-year-old son. So that was kind of novelty at that time. I don't know if somebody else has done it after that. And post which, like during the placements, what happened was, like, since I had some experience, I did not wanted to go back to the corporate world for some reason, because somewhere I felt that the other India that Manjira was needs to also get ahead. So I went back to my village and started a school to start with. And while we are talking about courage, right, I have seen courage doesn't necessarily mean that it has to come from educated and well-to-do women. It can be the rural women as well. And I have seen how courageous they are. Most of the times what happens is the burden of running the household falls on them, at least in the rural areas which I have seen. So they are pretty courageous, and they are doing their best that they could for the children and the family. And so that's where the yellow roots came into picture. And so initially I started with the school, and it is for the rural kids. It's a CBSE school till class 12th right now. And we have 2 more colleges in the same vicinity. And Yellow Root started because I realized that children need more than just education to have a proper upbringing. And that is where, because of my network and because of the people I know, I realized that probably I can merge the 2 things, the have and the have nots. And that is where Yellow Roots came into picture. So what I feel is that it's not about a woman or a man thing, but it is about doing what your heart says, moving ahead in life, and doing what you think is right. So yeah, that's where I am.
Thank you, Pooja. Right, talking about the other India, which started with Manjira saying 2 Indias. And again, the consistent rhetoric throughout it really is not about women and man, it's gender neutrality and things like that. So I'll come back to Manjira all over again. Manjira, since everybody starts talking first, starting with you, right? So we come back to you, and Manjira, this is the larger question here. If gender really should not matter, it should not, right? But the fact that there are discussions on women leadership, the fact that there's an International Women's Day celebrated, not just once, twice, the fact that diversity is a big issue in not just education sectors, corporates, and everywhere. What is this overall government policy-wise or corporate-wise? Why this attention on women if women do not have to worry about the fact or need not worry about the fact that gender should not matter? Since you've been a mentor, what would your advice be to women as such, Manjira? Whichever way you want to answer the question, really up to you, Manjira. Please go ahead.
Pragya, this question is answered on many different levels. I said women should be gender neutral when they are working.
Yes. Yes.
But that is not to say that the world is gender neutral. The world is bloody well stacked against women. And that is something which all of us realize. Now, the reason why there are so few women left in the middle management and the senior management is that kids come along and the woman has to drop out. So, I mean, my batchmate was Indra Nui, and both Indra and I had been having conversations about this for years. And in our little ways, I mean, she in a much bigger way, me in a smaller way, we keep trying to urge the corporate world that help the woman. The only way in which you can help the woman is by providing child support. Now, longer maternity leave, I'm so happy to see that that has come. The 6-month maternity leave does not exist when we were growing up. It was 1 month or max 3 months in some companies. So now it's 6 months. Now there's paternity leave. Okay, so one little baby step has been taken. But the real steps for women would be when there is childcare available at the workplace. When there will be a realization that the woman has many roles to play, and when the mother-in-law needs to go for her chemotherapy, she needs support. Now, most men would never bring this conversation to the work table. Unfortunately, women have to. When the child is sick, it is assumed that the woman would take leave, not the man. How many men say, I cannot attend the sales meeting day after because it's my child's PTA meeting? So these are certain recognitions which will have to be given. So the workplace has to become more sensitive. The workplace, I would say, I don't think, I should say they should become more family sensitive, not sensitive to women's needs, because to look after a sick child is not a woman's need, it's the family need. So the day that realization comes, I'll say, yes, we have come some way. And my request to all the young women today is try and build a support network as soon as you can. Please be on good terms with your mom-in-law so that she looks after your child, because believe me, without childcare support, you can reach nowhere. I couldn't have worked the 12-hour, 14-hour days I worked if I didn't have a mom taking care of my child, if I didn't have a spouse who was supportive. So, you know, I too married a batchmate from IIM Cal. So I guess that brought understanding to the table. But get that support. Get a support of like-minded friends so that you can carpool, so that you can stand in for each other, so that one mom can probably look after 2 children. Start an initiative. You guys are young. Encourage somebody to start a play group, after hours play group for kids. Push the company. I think this is the biggest service women can give to each other. More important than anything else. So sorry, I have gone completely off track. So this was just to make a distinction between women being gender neutral and actually the world being gender neutral. The world is fucking unequal in every which way. And it is more unequal for Bharat. It is less unequal for people like us. I mean, not that we don't have to fight our way, but at least there is nobody who is saying कि घूंघट करके बाहर मत निकलो, और अगर निकलोगे तो मैं तुम्हारा मोबाइल ले लूंगा. You know, so it's just, I don't know. I think it's great, you know, what you guys are doing. It's great what Pooja is doing with her village school and connecting the urban and rural India. Pooja, I'm here anytime you want any help in whichever small way, menial way, I'm there, because I think you're doing something great.
Thank you, Manjira, so much. And it really touched me when you said that women need to develop a support network. It is the most essential thing, guys. And probably I realized it way too late in my own career. But if you if you realize this early on, it will help you a lot, right? You need mentors, you need friends, you need supporters who are with you through thick and thin. And just to bring it up, like, we have an awesome women at IIM network, and I'm sure Manjira might also be part of it. And that's just amazing. Like, for every little thing, you can just get into that network, and you will get responses, and you will get all the support that you need. So similarly, there would be other networks. You should build them up.
Wow. Thank you, Manjira. You were never off track. You were absolutely on track. Right? Thank you. Right? Vani, is there any basic difference you see about women or in women generation X and the new age women? Anything specifically different?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Firstly, I want to 100%, 200% endorse what Manjira said. I couldn't agree with her more. And even to the point that Pooja was saying, there was another panel that I'd done earlier, and this girl Sairi of Shiros was talking about how one of the most basic things we need in Bharat, you know, to empower women is just a phone. You know, if every woman in our country just had a phone with her own mobile plan, that in itself will see a radical change in the way this country thinks and acts. Anyway, so coming back to your question, what you were asking me, I think I couldn't agree with Manjira more. But one of the other things that we also need to do as women, which I see in the younger women, is that the younger women are a lot more demanding of what their own rights are, which I think we and perhaps generations before, we weren't. You know, we we take a lot upon ourselves. Like Manjira was saying, would a dad ever say, I have a PTM meeting and so I'm not coming? It's true. But we women don't demand that of our partners either. Which I see in my own companies. I've seen my own brand managers talk about how they would open their dabbas sometime and say, oh gosh, he hasn't packed this for me. I was like, how cool, man. I mean, my guy never ever packed my dabba for me, but I never expected it either. Why? Or a lot of other things. I think we as women also, while of course society expects, but the onus is also on us equally to change conditioning, and I think that the younger women are far better at it. And we will probably have to be a lot more emphatic. While I 100% agree with Manjira, yes, the family needs more, more caregiving from a woman. The family needs more nurturing from a woman, because we are hardwired from generations, from evolution. We are hardwired as creatures, to nurture and to care. But if we as women have to bring about a change in society, not just for our own selves, but for even for our own generations. They say, I'm a single working woman. And initially, I used to really worry about the fact that I'm going to be bringing up a child on my own. But I realized in time that actually this is my superpower. And this is a huge privilege that I'm going to be giving to my child, because it's true that children of, and I'm not saying it's not to in any way, make it seem as though children from other families are not as, as, what should I say, as privileged. But what I mean to say is that the fact that my child has seen how his mother is working and is managing the house, I'm sure for him, this will be a superpower that he will have, in his pocket, as compared to many others. So what I'm saying is that I think younger women are far better at it. Society does have a lot of stereotypes on what women are meant to do. A lot of times, not a lot of times, we naturally give into that, because we as women also feel that, yes, of course, I must be there if there is someone sick at home. Yes, I must be there to make sure, groceries are stocked in the fridge, birthday gifts are organized, the house is done, blah, 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 blah. We naturally take it upon ourselves, but we must also demand more. And yes, 100% agree with Manjira, we need support structures. But again, I think that the younger generations are smarter at doing that. So that would be one big difference. And I think we should just demand more. And the other thing I want to say also is, I think the younger generations are also better at seeing what the men themselves do more of. If the men are getting ahead and the men have it all, then why not be more like men? Which is, I'm not saying that we change who we are, but obviously there are some things that they are doing right, which is they believe more in themselves and we don't believe as much in ourselves. So there is some bit of that also that we need to steal from men, which I think the younger women are better at doing.
Wow, Vani, I think that was really well said. Of course, family support is important, but we need to demand. That's so true, right? So if we don't demand, sometimes even the family may not be doing things. And another very important point that Vani brought in, she contextualized women in the larger historical evolution pattern of, what a woman is expected to do. She's supposed to nurture and care. Yes, now the younger women are more vociferous about saying what's the boundary of that care, right? That was a really nice point. Thank you. Shveta, you did mention something about, the education sector plays a very, very important role. In any capacity, can you say how, or do you think in any defining ways the education sector actually helping women realize what all they can do, or what all they must do, or what all they have been doing, which they should not have done? Over to you, Shweta.
So I'm going to answer that question. I just want to add something to what Vani said. And Vani, I think I heard you speak at IIT Bombay's E-Summit. I was just trying to place you. I think we were also both on a panel there, but it wasn't about women. You were talking about marketing strategy, and it was a very different, and I must say, I must congratulate you on the incredible insights that you gave me then. And I would love to, just say that I think every woman here is a professional, in her own right. Like today, I think the topic being women, I didn't place that, but I think if you bring that to the table first, right, I think it sort of adds to what Manjira was also saying. You contextualize the situation for yourself, right now. When I'm talking, I'm of course talking about my journey as a female leader, but right from the time you're in a classroom to the time you're in a boardroom, if you focus on results, you focus on delivering, you focus on what your secret sauce is, I think you will be able to make your mark. And I think it starts with education. It also starts with parenting. Like I said, my mom was at IIM as well. I think if you can, if we can, to our girls, make them feel that they can be whoever they want. If our teachers can make their students feel like they can be whoever they want, it gives you that role modeling and that inspiration factor where you feel like, okay, there's nothing really holding me back. As a mom, I just want to say that, yes, I do feel like I have that nurturing instinct, but so does my husband. And part of acknowledging that and, bringing the husband up in the equation, right, goes a long way. Because if I keep taking the credit and saying that, yes, I'm better at organizing, birthday parties, that in a way, I'm self-selecting myself for that role. So one of the sort of tips that I would want to give to future moms is keep praising your mother-in-law, keep praising your husband, and keep encouraging them to do the nurturing and the love. I actually think my husband is more loving in many ways, and I think he is the primary parent. He is the one who wakes up. He's the one who puts my daughter to sleep, and we both work from home, so it's not like I can't do it. But I actually think he's better and he's more effective. And I need my sleep, so it works out. So I think, I think, he's a great cook. He's great in the kitchen. So I think, we don't need to be these super women, power women. Like, it's okay. If my mother-in-law is good at, she's a housewife and she really enjoys a lot of things that maybe I don't enjoy. So if she's very happy to do that and she's better at them than me, she makes much better achar than I could ever dream of doing, let her make the achar, So I think one of the mistakes that we make is trying to sort of be it all and have it all and, prove that we're perfect in every which way. And you don't have to be, just delegate, and if you can afford it, get staff. I have no guilt in, having multiple people to sort of take care and delegate both at work and, in my personal life. So I think that's the best way to sort of juggle it all and have it all. And I think, sorry, I've also gone a little off track, Pragyan, but it's just so interesting to bounce off ideas rather than, just answer in a very set manner. But to your question on the education sector, I think it's very simple. We need to just encourage our kids, encourage them right from the classroom onwards. And we need to make them believe that there is no bucketing and there is no rules that people need to get stuck into. Like, I was always better than maths than I was at art, and I remember my grandfather telling me that you are going to be doing something quantitative and mathematical in college. And don't let anyone ever tell you that because you're a girl, you can't do it. And he went to IIT, and my mom was not very good at math. So I remember her telling me that, are you sure, like, this is going to work out? Like, your grandfather's telling you to pursue math, but I failed in math. So how are you going to do this? And I just felt like my grandfather made me feel that I could be anyone and do anything that I really wanted to. And I didn't need to worry about what people were saying, and what people were concerned about. When I joined McKinsey in New York, I remember one of my managers telling me that you're a girl and you want to work in an all-male team. I was working on a hardcore operations project in New York. I was the only girl. This manager of mine was almost 7 feet tall. Like, he was literally the tallest person I've ever met. He was huge. And he's like, you're very cute, you're very nice, but how are you actually going to, get all this analytical work done? So I told him, I said, look, honestly, I don't even need to have this conversation. The reason I dress the way I do, the reason I'm behaving like this is because I'm proud of my role as a woman. I'm actually here not because of some kind of diversity quotient, but because I'm probably better at analysis than anybody else on this team. And I don't even want to discuss this. I don't even want to discuss my role as a woman. So if you want to talk about that, let's discuss it with HR in the room. I literally just gave it back to him, and today, those kind of questions don't come up in McKinsey New York, because I started a female business analyst mentorship program, which is now, make sure that every woman at McKinsey has a role model and a mentor. So I think, you have to, like I said in the beginning, you have to fight. No one's going to give it to you on a platter. And we need to keep encouraging our women that they can do whatever they want and delegate. Don't try to be a superwoman.
Thank you. So it is delegation. Thank you so much. Right. And Pooja, one of the last questions here. Is there anything particular, since we talked about generations, right? And we're talking about delegations. Now we just want to talk about something that you've been doing, rural and urban. Anything particular we should learn from women in the rural parts, urban women?
Yeah. So, see, we need more role models. Like when I was growing up, I used to look up to Indra Nooyi, right? And so even for the rural children, I see many of them even look at me as a role model. So, and that inspires children to do more. Like many times I've heard girls saying, ma'am, aapke jaisa banna hai. So that is it. Unless and until you see people that they are doing something more, something different, right? Otherwise you are in your own village and you do not have much exposure to the outside world. So we need more role models in women, and women should like as everybody else also mentioned, right, that we need to ask for what we need to demand things. And what happens is many times it is about the social conditioning that we have been through in our lives, that we feel that okay, the onus of this is on us, and maybe we are not being asked for it, but we take it upon ourselves. So it is best to ask for it. And many times in my own life I've realized that when I've asked for things, things have just happened, and I got what I wanted, and there has been no any tension or anything which I might have thought that it might lead to. So the best thing out there is to ask for it. And even for the rural children, I have seen that now what is happening, the change that I'm seeing is that mostly girls are more at least in my school, are more focused, and they want to do more, and they want to make a life. Like many of them want to join the civil services, and they want to be IAS, IPS and all that. So parents, right, earlier they used to focus on the education of their boys, but when they have a like a son and a daughter, and they see that the daughter is doing academically better, and so the parents are also becoming more supportive of the daughter, because they feel that their future is also secured if she gets into a good job and position and all that. So if we take more responsibility, the girls are taking more responsibility of their lives, and I'm seeing it making a difference even in the mindset of the parents. So that is the change that is happening.
Okay, wonderful, Pooja. Thank you. So we should ask for more. We should delegate for the right skill sets, right? Of course, a good support system, and we should do what we want to. The last final round, and that's it. Over to Manjira once again. One simple, in one line, if you had a chance to ask society, what is this one demand the woman should make from society now in the contemporary times? according to you?
Don't treat me differently.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
That's it. I mean, not asking for a favor, not asking for a leg up, just don't behave any differently towards me. That's all.
Thank you, Manjira. That's the tagline for today's panel discussion. Vani, for you.
While I agree absolutely with what Manjira has said, in the corporate context, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen because our social conditioning is so deep. And I have a whole lot of anecdotes, but we're out of time, so I wouldn't tell them. But I'd say that if there's one thing that corporates could change, it would be that, along with all of the things that Manjira talked about, we definitely need child support. We definitely need childcare centers. We need what do you call them? Gosh, I'm terrible.
Okay.
We need support centers in the office, but along with that, we also need change at the policy level. The fact that there are such few women at the top, it's, there are many more women. I'm not saying, of course, the gender ratio is skewed right from the beginning, but there are many more women at junior levels, and there are very few who get to the top. Now, part of the reason also for this is, and I'm making a very big statement, but it's true. Part of the reason for this also is that more men tend to promote men, because men are generally comfortable with their own friends, with their own men friends. It's a fact. I mean, how many times I as a woman have ever been asked out? We're not asked out, because men are conscious of, oh gosh, can I ask her out for an evening for drinks? Of course not. Most 9.5 out of 10 men will not do it. So how do you get to know each other better? Because the fact is, actually, business thrives on relationships. And relationships in a corporate environment for a woman are difficult. So the only way to get around it is to do it by policy, which is at every level, there should be a defined percentage of women who have to be promoted. And for a long time, there will be people who will say, oh gosh, she's been promoted only because of policy. Who knows if she's capable or not? But that's too bad. It doesn't matter. We have to live with those labels. Over time, things will change. But to start with, given where we are, the fact is that the ratios are so dismal right now. The only way to change it is by policy.
It's an amazing point made, right? You talk like a sociologist. Absolutely amazing point made. A very doable point, which is actually required. Thank you. Shweta, what's your question?
I would say, the demand, right, is what the question is.
Yeah.
I would say the demand is, don't judge us. That's it. Don't judge us. Women have their own unique characteristics, and we're proud of our characteristics. So don't judge us, and appreciate what we bring to the table. And like Vani said, you don't have an option. You have to deal with us. Right now, women make up, I think, less than 20% of the workforce in India. That number should be over 50%. And in my organization, more than 50% are women. And the entire leadership team is women. And that is purely based on merit. It's not due to any policy, but if it wasn't the case, I would have made sure, that it was the case. So I completely agree with the previous panelists. And I think don't judge women for what they bring to the table. Appreciate that, because if you have women on your team, business will thrive. That's been proven by most boards, most organizations. When there are more women in the company does better financially as well.
By every research study as well, including McKinsey itself.
Yes. So if you want your business, yes, and McKinsey hires 50-50 women at the entry level, but unfortunately at the partner level, just like you said, there are very few women. So don't judge us, appreciate us, and we will do you proud. We'll make you money as well for your business. So don't only think about it as a diversity ticket.
Okay, thank you, Shweta. And the stress is on talent, and of course, Shweta, that's how it's going to be, and hopefully that's how it should be. And Pooja, final demand from you.
So final demand from me would be, don't treat a woman as a devi or somebody who is good at everything and she's like she's the nurturer and whatever. Just treat her as a human being. So yeah, she also gets tired. She also has her needs. She also needs to do her own things. And it's not like that she's a devi and she's a ma and she's a like nurturer of the household and taking care of everybody else and her needs are the last. So don't treat us that way. Just treat us as a human being.
Thank you
And
so
that is
much.
what I tell women who work with
Sorry,
me.
got stuck.
Yeah.
Please. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, so a change that I'm seeing in my the women that I work with, like I have a principal at school, she's a lady, and she was telling me that one of the days her clothes were not ironed, so her husband did it for her. So that's a big change in a rural setup, and yeah, I really liked it because she is on her own now, so the family also looks up to her.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja, Shweta, Vani, and Manjira. And above all, could we please have the organizers come forward? Sejal, Sweetie, I think I saw Prateek. Am I missing out anybody else? Please.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
to you.
Sweetie,
Yeah.
Sejal, Jaiti,
Go ahead.
and I think Nancy is here. But before we
Could we give
conclude,
a
ma'am,
big
I'm
round of
sorry, but
applause to all of you? Right? Thank you for taking the trouble to get these women here. Right? And the final words from you. Thank you so much.
actually, ma'am, before we finish, I had a small question from my side. Actually, last week at our campus, we hosted one of our alum who is an author, Chandrima Das, and I just got the chance to have a coffee with her, and she told me that on one of her work trips, so as a senior associate traveling with a junior associate, she was like she was on a trip in rural India, and it was like a work trip with a government official that she had to talk about her project, but he kept on addressing just the junior associate who was a guy, and he completely ignored her. So even though women are successful like in the corporate world, reach that position wherein they are handling teams, they are leading the projects, there is such an ingrained misogyny that at times that you are just exposed to it while you are working. I was just curious as to if the panelists that have joined here have had such experiences, and how do they tackle these experiences? Because if when she told me, I was like, how would I even react to such a situation? How would I cope with something like this, like being successful in your career and yet being treated like that?
You just call it out. That's it. All of us. I mean, I started working much before you guys, so I encountered it millions of times. So all you have to do is call it out. You don't have to be strident. You don't have to be rude, but you have to just say, no, I'm sorry. I think your questions were really meant for me. Okay. So, and then tell my younger colleague that, hold it, I'll answer it. You can steer the conversation back to yourself. Just be firm and don't let the opportunity go. You have to call it out each and every time. Otherwise, the damage it does to yourself is more than
Yes.
what happens around. Not an issue. Call out the first 2 times and it will become second nature. You won't even think about it.
And don't think about it as a deficiency in you. Think about it as a deficiency, maybe, that person overlooked what you had to bring to the table. So you're actually helping them out by, stepping in.
Yeah, you're definitely enriching the quality of conversation.
And this is like Shweta said, it's absolutely true. Actually, people who have a very low self-worth are the ones who treat others badly. When they're not making eye contact, for example, there will be times when there are men like that who don't make eye contact. And that is a sign of disrespect. And that is mostly because they themselves have a very poor self-worth. The only way to do it is, yeah, absolutely, call it out and be very assertive yourself. Actually, it's also about just developing a strong self. There are people Like you would say that of Indira Nooyi. Of course, Indira Nooyi didn't, she wasn't born an Indira Nooyi. She became the Indira Nooyi that we know her to be. But over time, when you start believing more in yourself, you will become the kind of person who walks into a room and the whole room will turn to look. You want to be that person, and that will happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here, for sharing your extraordinary journey. And I think I can say it on behalf of the students who joined that it has been really inspiring. And thank you, Pragyan ma'am. Your moderation was really engaging. Finally,
very well done, Pragya. I really enjoyed your moderation. Very well managed. Thank you.
we would.
Thank you, Pragya.
Thank you.
Vani, Pooja, Shweta, great meeting you.
Absolutely.
Same here.
Absolutely.
Same here.
We must stay in touch.
Absolutely. So now we have this group.
Yeah.
So, and I have to thank Nancy, who's the one who got me to this table. So I was privileged to be part of a group of 2 who mentored Nancy. So
okay, lovely.
She has repaid that mentorship over a million times.
Wonderful.
Finally, we have a short video from our sponsors, which will play now.
Okay.
Post a new job and receive responses within 5 minutes. For a verified recruiter, posting a job can be done with a click of a button. Recruiters don't have to wait for candidates to apply. Candidate profiles are recommended based on the job post, and recruiters can start communicating
Pragya, you might
with the
like to
recommended
tell Sweetie
candidates
that nothing is
immediately
showing.
after posting the job. Privacy of the users is also protected.
Sure.
Post a new job and receive responses within 5 minutes. For a verified recruiter, posting a job can be done with a click of a button. Recruiters don't have to wait for candidates to apply. Candidate profiles are recommended based on the job post, and recruiters can start communicating with the recommended candidates immediately after posting the job. Privacy of the users is also protected. Personal information like phone number, CVs are shared only with consent. The communication can either be initiated by the recruiter or the candidate. In my case, you can see within 5 minutes of posting the job, the recruiter could chat directly, receive responses quickly, and even schedule interviews with the candidates. Within a few minutes, the recruiter can start expecting more candidates to view the job post and reach out to them by initiating a chat conversation. Since Hirect is mobile first, responses pour in any time of the day as most people are within the vicinity of their phone. A few hours later, as you can see here, a product manager job post was added by me last night, and by morning I have already received 15 plus chat requests from job seekers. You can see that my feed is full of product managers from top institutes and companies as matched by the algorithm. I'm able to initiate a chat with them and receive a response quickly, as I can see their last active time as well. Recruiters can receive responses from job seekers irrespective of the time of day or even at night, as Hirect is mobile first, and this makes it very accessible to the users. Direct chat, mobile accessibility, instant response, matching algorithm, secured privacy makes it 5 times better product for recruiters.
Thank you all for joining.